And there's the mouse for you.
All right, awesome. Okay.
We are live. Oh, I'm going to have to steal that from you so I can see the Facebook one, but... 21.6, the net. My LoSo lifestyle. With me. Hi, Facebook people. We're just getting ready to go live on the radio. Bear with us just a second or two, because we are radio station first. Because that's what we do. And I can't figure out technology.
All right, there we are. It is 11 a.m. on a Thursday, and we know that means it's time for My LoSo Lifestyle with Mary Shep. Mary, why don't you catch everybody up?
So, catching people up because I'm still getting used to the new studio arrangement and how to do all this crap. Can I steal a mouse pad?
Yeah, I put it back over there for you.
So we're doing stuff. We're a learning curve. This is me on a learning curve. Figure this out. So we're on the radio.
Fantastic.
Trying to share all my stuff. So last week we were talking about big batch stuff. This week we are comfort foods. And it's funny because I picked comfort foods because of the fact that I think people need some comfort foods right now. A lot of people are cooking, which is why I created another group. I know there's a lot of people that follow me. There's people in the Shake and the Salt group that are all across the world. We've got 15,000 people in there that's low sodium. So if you're looking for low sodium resources, the Shaking the Salt and Hack and Salt are two great groups. But I did create a group for McHenry County Recipe Share, and that's just for our local county here to try and, I don't know, because I love everything food. It's not always low sodium. You don't have to be low sodium. In any of my dishes that I make, you can simply add some salt to it if you're allowed to have salt. So, it's one of those kind of things. But so comfort foods. What are your comfort foods? Oh, hey Nicole! Yay, Nicole! Yay, morning. Jim, my cast iron guy, and his little cat emoji, his adorable cat is his little Facebook guy. So, comfort foods. We were talking about yesterday because someone had said. Spätzle, German Spätzle, which is like a butter noodle. It's, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just simple flour. Put it through like a strainer thing, and you put it in boiling water and then fry it up with butter, and it's good. It's just like a German noodle, and then you put sauce and gravy over it. That's a German comfort food. So a friend of mine on our new McHenry County recipe group was talking about it, and now tonight I was thinking I should make German Spätzle as something different to make.
Something different. I've never heard of that.
It's literally just a flour egg noodle essentially, but instead of forming it into a dough and rolling out noodles, if you can picture a colander with a bunch of holes in it, so you put some of the batter in there and then you scrape it, so it just makes little noodle turds.
Okay.
I think it was noodle. Like they look like.
Let's have noodle turds for dinner.
They're like little noodle poops.
That's hilarious.
But what is your comfort food? What is we know Pete's comfort food is fried peanut butter and jelly sandwich. We learned that the other day.
Yep, love that.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, hey Nicole or Stephanie. Stephanie's on too. Of course, I'm going to have a better following now that everybody's home and they have nothing better to do than to listen to me yammer on for an hour about food. But I'll take it. You know what I mean? The part of the reason I was thinking comfort food is so many people, and this cracks me up. But I mean, I cheat because I cook, but everybody's like, I'm out of things to cook. It's been a week.
How could you possibly go through everything there is to cook in a week? And my wife even commented because we went to the store and we came back and she's like, why did we just go to the store? We still have all this stuff in our cabinets. But we have now 4 people in our house where usually, for the most part, we only have just her and I.
And I get that. I mean, I get that there's a big difference between cooking dinner every night and then full blown having an entire family of 5 or 4 or 8 or 12. I mean, I have a friend of mine who fosters, and I think there's like 10 of. She's got 6 kids, I believe. So there's 8 or 10 of them in the house at any given time.
Holy crap!
So I get it, to have an entire family of 4 or 5 at home, and having to cook a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner, and then on top of that, trying to stop yourself from the proverbial, pace back and forth to the fridge because you're bored looking for things to snack on. So I mean, I get it, but when people are going in, and I've done it myself, like, what should I cook? Not that I'm out of things to make. So I just think it's hilarious that there's so many posts about I'm out of stuff to cook. Well, what can I cook for dinner tonight? Or what can I cook for lunch? And that part cracks me up, because it makes it so very prevalent about how many people no longer cook for themselves.
Mm.
It is a takeout world.
Well, what I've noticed is going home. I noticed this yesterday. Going home, I left the studio about 5 o'clock, and so I was here just about 12 hours yesterday. And going home, I noticed there was a line at the drive-through at every place I passed.
Right.
On the way home, I'm like, holy cow! That's why no one's on the road. They're all at the freaking drive-through.
Right. And one of my coworkers she knows that I enjoy my lattes. It's not that I enjoy Starbucks. I just like a latte. Mm. And most of the places that you can sit down at, Aroma Cafe in Crystal Lake that I absolutely love, and Conscious Cup at least has a drive-through, but so she was going to stop and get me a latte. All of them are closed. Not all of them, most of them. That's a whole other topic. I don't want to go into it related to world events, but the next day she found one on her way to work that was open on the far side of Crystal Lake. So she was going to get me a latte on the way in to be nice, because I've been, working double shifts for the past 2 weeks. This is my second day off in that time frame.
Wow.
And she says, I'm sorry, but the line was around the side of the building into the other parking lot, and there was no way I was going to make it to work even 5 minutes late. So I didn't get you a latte. It'll have to wait some other time. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, holy crap. So I went in the break room and made a cup of coffee. I mean, it's not a $10 latte, but it'll suffice. And it's funny to me, when I think of comfort foods, and comfort foods are relative to your experience. They're it's a nostalgic experience per your individual perspective. Like you saying fried peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I've had one, but not until I was an adult in a restaurant in Texas. And see,
we were little kids, and that was what my mom would, it was super cheap to make. And, when we're being sent off to school on a cold day and we had to walk, she felt like at least she gave us something hot that we would eat.
Right.
And we primarily being me. This was before my little brother started going to school. But I loved it. And now it just makes me think of, This is really good. I loved it. And there's only one other person in the world that I know of who actually likes them as much as I do.
See, I like I said, I had one. It was at a little retro restaurant in Texas when I was there 20 years ago for a mortgage conference. And it was fabulous. It was absolutely fabulous. But it's not something that, would I eat it again? Sure. Would I make it? Probably. But it's not necessarily comfort food for myself.
Yeah.
My comfort foods are, it's as funny as it is, some of them, like my sister, when I posted something in our new group about what's a food that, your comfort food as a child, what's your one thing? And I put fried bologna. It's good. Not that I'll eat it every day. It's not that I enjoy it to the point where it's, like pizza or macaroni and cheese or something that you could eat on a regular basis.
Right.
But I remembered that, I could when my dad would make fried bologna and I got to pop the bubble.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
that was a fun thing.
Right.
And it's a happy memory.
The kitchen wasn't really a thing in our house, other than my sister making cookies to bribe the guys down the street for rides on the Hobie Cat, which is a giant sailboat through the lake. and, and stealing cookies and cookie dough. My mom made overcooked spaghetti with ragu pasta sauce, which I thought was fabulous. And I hated asparagus because I thought it was the mushy crap that came in a can.
Mm.
But my mom always made shake and bake chicken, and almost inevitably it was cooked wrong.
Sounds like
overcooked macaroni and cheese out of a box.
Sounds like your mom and my mom had a lot of poor cooking technique in common there.
So I mean, it wasn't that I had a whole lot of big meals or anything, but every once in a while, and that's why I talked about this before. My dad made navy bean soup and biscuits and gravy. So it wasn't that we had that all the time, but those were the cooking experiences that I remember, that were nostalgic to me. So, and it's one of those things where when it's your comfort food, if somebody does it wrong, it's like that.
It's disappointing.
Like they burnt a Bible in front of a church. Like it's horrible. Yeah. And that's how it by so many people with biscuits and gravy, because it's such a common comfort food. You screw up biscuits and gravy, you might as well just leave.
You might as well. And there's actually, I'm a bit of a biscuits and gravy snob too.
I am big time.
It's got to be a certain,
So my friend Jen says that they've been home the 14th, so it's 3 weeks for them. They got 2 young boys. So, I get it. I can imagine that the difficulty, I've said this, I think I said this last week, how we're going to have a lot of much fatter, much uglier people without getting hair dye and haircuts and eyebrows waxed and makeup done and 72,000 trips to the refrigerator later. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. For all those that follow me, last night I had a bowl of butter pecan ice cream with Thin Mints on top.
I saw that, but I agreed with you.
Right. And the picture shows 2 little Thin Mints. And you think I had 2 Thin Mints. Well, I had 2 out of the package while I was making my ice cream. And then I put 2 in the bowl. And then I had 2 to put in my mouth on my trip down to go sit in my bed in my comfy pants and eat my ice creams and cookie at 9:00 at night. So I get it. I totally get the trips to the fridge. But I think that having those comfort foods, especially now, and if you can make like we were last week talking about bigger batches, if you could make a bigger batch and you spend a portion cooking, it eats up a portion of your day and you've got leftover make, and it can create memories right now in a time where those memories can be not that great. So instead of turning food into a nemesis right now, it can be turned into like my same friend Jen, her and her boys, one of her boys loves. He's going to be a next chef. I just guarantee it. But they cook those. And she'll probably chime in here if she's still on. They're the Christmas wafer cookies. Looks like a snowflake. It's just a real thin.
Oh, okay. I know
they make them every year. I forget what they're called, but they're fantastic, and they do them with their boys every single year. It's a Christmas tradition, and they're fantastic. So when you can choose to make it a memory that's good, like making biscuits and gravy with my dad, I think comfort foods would be a good place to go right now, just because of so many people being home. It's an opportunity to teach your kids something.
Yeah.
Because in a world where everybody's living on takeout, like take the opportunity. Or Jim, my buddy that does cast iron. Mm-hmm. Same thing. You impart those memories and you impart those things when up until now, you haven't had the opportunity to do so. So in an altogether shitty situation, you have an opportunity to make something fantastic out of it.
Yeah.
But I also understand that, it's not easy to make 70,000 trips to the refrigerator.
Well, no, and I think it's funny because I keep seeing people who are, oh my gosh, I love working from home and I can eat and snack and whatever. Or then, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so fat. Well, I started seeing the I'm going to be so fat posts 3 days into this thing.
Right.
I'm like, dude, it's been 3 days. Trust me,
weeks to go.
It takes a long time to get fat. I'm fat, and I know how I got here. It didn't happen in 3 days. It didn't happen in 3 weeks. It didn't happen. This happened over years. It took me years to build this
Body by Pete.
Yeah, Body by Pete here.
Body by Pete.
So, but yeah, I see a lot of posts on there. Oh, I'm going to be so fat when this is over.
Right.
You know what? Then be that. Don't. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I totally agree. I mean, any life, and this is why I had said a couple shows ago that I can't help. I mean, I feel bad. I genuinely feel bad. This whole situation is horrible. But literally, the entire planet just got thrown into the same boat that myself and all of my other sufferers live in every day. All of us that have either liver disease, or my group with all the people that have transverse myelitis and live in chronic pain or are paralyzed and live this literally overnight. I woke up one morning at 2 to pee, and the next thing you know, I'm partially paralyzed. Like, the same as the world. You wake up one day and all of a sudden it's, guess what? You can't go out, you can't do this, can't do that, can't do this, gotta do this, whatever, and I'm forcing you to do these things. And you have to make this lifestyle change. And to take some of these comforts out of it that you can, is why I wanted to do comfort foods. Because, people think of comfort foods, at least in the US, we think of, the biscuits and gravy, the casseroles, the stews, apple cobblers, peach cobblers, and then a lot of the southern comfort foods, the collard greens and stuff like that, and the fried chicken. But the world is there still. And when you foods. So we're going to do, in our group today, later this afternoon, I'm going to do a virtual cookie share. And it's the same with this. So when you think comfort foods and you think, okay, we've made all of our comfort foods, because most households they're not like me where they've got hundreds upon hundreds of recipes that they can draw upon, or they don't have a foodie brain where yesterday I made pan-seared Icelandic cod with creamy potatoes with goat cheese and think of those things. So they run through their repertoire of food very quickly. So Google comfort foods of India. Try something different. There's the spätzle that I'm going to try and make tonight, which is a German dish. It's essentially just a flour noodle with a gravy and pork on top. Pierogies, ramen. Ramen is huge in Asian countries, in Singapore, and the Philippines, and Vietnam.
I actually love ramen.
Right. And I'm not talking about the ramen that you get in a cup that's just a salt packet flavor bomb of chicken base over ramen fake dish noodles. I mean, real. You're
talking
real
you're
noodle home ramen. Right now, you have the time to try this crap. So don't give me the excuse that, it takes hours. What else are you freaking doing right now?
Unless you actually are working from home and you actually are being productive. But even then, you don't have a commute anymore. You don't have employees. You have kids and stuff, and you still have distractions. But if you are legitimately being you've got time. Yeah. Gwen, I almost missed you. Biscuits and gravy, yum. I love Gwen. Gwen makes homemade. And I've yet to try them. It's been years. She makes homemade English muffins, low sodium English muffins, and they look absolutely amazing. And I just haven't made them yet. Huh. I think the biggest reason I don't make a lot of breads is because it's just me and my husband, and then it goes to waste. Because it's not easy to make a bread recipe where it makes a couple of biscuits or a couple of English muffins or one loaf. You have to be really good at it to modify baking recipes. I can modify recipes. I can't really modify baking. I'm not good at that yet. Yeah. But I'm working on it. And I thought, when everybody talked about quarantine, I thought I would have all the time. This is great. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna play with my website. I'm gonna cook food. And I'm essential, and now I'm working 80 hours a week. Now you're working even more.
Right. I really am. Nicole, oh my gosh. See, if I didn't love Nicole so much, she says, unpopular opinion, biscuits and gravy are gross. Because I love you, I'll let you have a pass because you're fantastic and your daughter's point. But man.
Yeah, I'm going to have to just trust you on that, because anybody who doesn't like biscuits and gravy to me is just not right in the head.
Right? But that's what's funny is I always tell people, if you go to Australia and ask them what they eat on toast, and their first answer isn't going to be peanut butter.
No.
And if you try and get kids to eat peanut butter over there, they're going to look at you like you're nuts. Now, if you try to get them to eat Vegemite, which to us is a yeast-based product and probably would think it's gross, and it's not the greatest taste. I've had it.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not. You
right.
You got to grow up with that.
Right.
It's an absolutely an acquired taste.
But that's like right now. Why not? If you have the time, and it doesn't have to be ramen. I get that ramen. That's an intense dish to make. Pho, ramen, any of those big, huge flavor bomb broth things. That even the spetzel that I'm going to make tonight. That's a there's some technique behind that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you can't find, search what an Italian comfort food is, or Irish, or, make something that's different, which is why I want to do the cookie share. Because, you'd have these recipe swaps and cookie swaps and food swaps and potlucks. And because we can't do that now, so we're going to do a virtual cookie share. So if we all post a cookie recipe that's our favorite. So if I post, because I love snickerdoodles and I have a peppermint sugar cookie that I make. And somebody can make my cookie, and in turn, I will take whatever recipe they post and make their cookie, and it's like a virtual cookie swap, just to have something different to make. And learn somebody else's and that's why I love food so much. To make somebody else's comfort food is like sharing a piece of their memory.
I can tell you what, I mean, I have no idea how she makes it because I don't make it. She does. But my wife makes a peanut butter chocolate chip cookie that is too freaking.
So you'll have to
just
have
thinking about it,
a
I'm like,
recipe for the cookie swap.
It's just
So
it's such a pleasant thing to even think about.
Right.
It tastes so good. And she makes it the way I like it, which is crispy. She likes soft cookies.
Same here.
And I don't. I can't stand a soft cookie. Hate it.
I love it.
The closest thing I can get to a soft cookie and be okay with is like those no-bake chocolate cookie thingies with the coconut in them.
Sure.
That's about as close as I can get. I love a crispy cookie, and she'll make them crispy. Peanut butter cookies with the fork crisscross. It's got to have the fork crisscross, and then chocolate chips, and they are the frick awesome. I love those things.
And so even stuff like that, being low sodium, and obviously, like I said before, the McHenry County recipe page is for McHenry County, because I wanted something close to home, and I love everything food, and I can convert just about pretty much anything can be converted low sodium, anything. A friend of mine that we just lost recently, Mitch, made me corned beef. He literally went through, it's like a 14-day process, because that's what he does. He had a commercial grade vacuum sealer, like that's his thing, and shipped it across the country to me. Wow. With instructions on how to cook it in my crock pot, and it was fabulous. And it was low sodium corned beef where you could actually have a meal of it. I'm not saying that everybody's going to do that. So there are certain things that, yes, you can make them low sodium. As a home cook, are you? Probably not. But in a time now when you have all of this time and you're saying, I'm out of things to make for dinner. It's so easy to search up and say, okay, I have supposed German heritage. I don't. My husband does. I'm about 100% Scandinavian and Irish. Okay. But it doesn't mean I came from Ireland. I've never been there. I don't know any, I think I know one person that his family's from there. But I'm so far removed from it. So look up and see what an actual Irish comfort food is. And try making that. You got the time. Make the memory. Make something out of it right now when everything else is crap.
Yeah.
Gwen says, silly girl, you can freeze the muffins. Yeah, I know, but my freezer is full of about 60 pounds worth of stuff. Are you kidding me? I didn't have to hoard anything. We were just talking about hoarding, and I went to the grocery store, and all I wanted was ground pork. And I'm sitting here, I can't help but laugh, because you know how many people must be stuck with low sodium green beans and corn and all this crap because everybody else hoarded all the supposed good stuff. So they're stuck getting the low sodium canned goods that they'd never buy in a million years because there was nothing left on the shelf.
Yeah.
And I'm not even kidding you. The first day I went shopping, it was hilarious because there are these little pockets of food left on the shelf. And it's normally the stuff I have to hunt and peck for. Like, oh, look at that. There's my green beans. There's my corn. There's my whatever. Because no one's buying the healthy stuff.
No one wants the healthy stuff. So.
Right. Why?
Yeah.
So, a lot of times people think that you can't have your comfort foods in a low sodium or diet restricted world, and that is not true. So I wanted to revisit some flavor boosters that I've talked about in the past, and one of them is the Maillard reaction. It's amazing to me. I'm working with a friend of mine who's a chef. He owns his own restaurant, and I'm trying to help him create a lower heart healthy option for Chinese food. It's very doable. No, you can't use soy sauce, but it's doable. There's ways to make it happen. And the biggest reason is the Maillard reaction, which is the reaction between the amino acids and the sugars that makes your food taste good. It's just how the chemically they change. And he didn't know what the Maillard reaction was. He's not a culinarily trained chef. He took over a family restaurant. It's been in generations, so he knows how to cook. There's no disputing that. But he doesn't know about that. He never was taught that. So in talking to him and saying, the whole process of having a wok or a cast iron that you can get that reaction out of meats and vegetables is where your flavor is. So a friend of mine at work had said, I made chili, and says, your chili is fantastic. And my chili sucked. I'm not even done. And I made salt and onions and cheese. It still sucked. So how come yours is good? And it's that Maillard reaction. It's because and it's another step in the process. But searing the meat, searing the vegetables, and then deglazing the pan from those vegetables. It's actually called fond, and I put be fond of the fond because I think it's hilarious. But the fond is the culinary term for the shit that collects in the bottom of the pan that normally you can't scrape off. The way that you scrape that off is by adding wine broth or even just plain old water.
Yeah. And
we'll boil it off, and it comes up, and all that brown goodness is what brings the flavor or that umami, because the things that make soy sauce taste good, and the substitute for soy sauce is amino acids. You can buy it in a jar. It still has a lot of sodium, but it's not nearly, it's like 135 milligrams per serving versus 1,000 milligrams per serving that soy sauce has. But essentially, a jar of amino acids is that deglazed in a jar, but without any added salt.
Yeah.
So that's where your flavor pack comes from. And then if you add vinegars or wines or citrus, like everybody knows, my big thing is to do garlic and onions and then deglaze it with wine and reduce it. And by reducing it, you just enhance those flavors. So all the comfort foods that people love, you can do with the same, all the soups, the stews, the stocks, the biscuits and gravy, all of that stuff you can do with the same thing. Just it just takes that extra step of having to sear everything before you do it. And Jim will love this one, because if you have cast iron, that's the best way to do it, especially in a Dutch oven, because you can sear it and then just throw it all in the oven. Because I like my ceramic coated cast iron. Stephanie says on the shelter in place, I've learned how to cook without burning myself.
Well, that's always a plus.
We'll keep cooking, because you'll learn how to burn yourself a whole new set of ways. Because any chef will show you war wounds, all the way up to his armpits, which I always think is hilarious, because no matter how good I am, I still burn myself time and time and time and time again.
Do you really?
Oh yeah, all the time. It's so easy to your situational awareness. Like when you're in your comfort zone, if that situational awareness like either gets enhanced or it just completely goes away. There's like no gray area. So when I'm thinking about it and I'm thinking I'm going to do this and I got my next step and I'm going to make that and I'm going to make this gravy and this sauce and do whatever. And I've got this in the fridge. I can do that. And then I'm not thinking about it. And I forgot that I'm cooking with my stainless steel pan instead of one of my other pans. And I just grab the pan and forget that the handles are like 7,000 degrees. Or you forget what you're doing and you reach over to grab something and the corner of your arm touches the side of a pan because, again, your situational awareness doesn't tell you where, your limbs are.
Wow. I don't think I've ever done that.
Oh, yes. All the time. All the time. Maybe it's just me.
And Stephanie.
And Stephanie. We can be burn buddies.
There you go.
Right?
What a thing to have in common.
Yeah. Well, I guess so.
Let's bond over our burns.
Sounds like a Vietnam burn war or something.
It just sounds a little scary.
Right? So, I mean, like biscuits and gravy. Since we're on a biscuits and gravy kick. To make your own breakfast sausage is surprisingly super easy. I don't know why I didn't make it more before I had to go low sodium. Because whether it has salt in it or not, pork is one of those proteins that lends really, really well to that Maillard reaction. And the subsequent flavor is that of being salted. Pork, on the other hand, is one of those meats that still is very difficult to get without a brine. So in order to get ground pork, grocery stores a lot of the time have I've seen it a little bit more now, but to find ground pork at your average grocery store is not as common as it is to go to a butcher. I honestly get mine from Sam's Club. The Smithfield meat that they carry isn't brined. So the ground pork, actually the Sam's Club Fresh Thyme also has it. And then of course my butcher, I always go to Cal's Butcher in Crystal Lake. They treat me very well and they know where all of their product comes from. So, but if you get ground pork without a brine, even just adding it to a meatball or another dish, pork is just one of those things. It's probably why bacon is so good.
Bacon's freaking awesome.
Even low sodium bacon. Now, turkey bacon is not bacon. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you tell me. Turkey bacon is not bacon.
No, turkey should not be anything other than what it is, turkey.
I know. It's
Quit
great on a
trying
sandwich.
to be anything else. It just needs to be turkey.
Exactly.
So we actually had bacon last night. My wife made she made bacon buddies.
Bacon buddies?
Bacon buddy. That's just a bacon sandwich with bacon and mayo.
Oh.
There's no L&T.
Oh.
So it's just a bacon buddy. That's what I grew up calling it. I guess it's the English term for it.
Warm and fuzzy bacon hug.
So it's just a bacon buddy, and you put she toasted the bread, and then we had stovetop stuffing and corn. See? So we had corn, stovetop stuffing, and bacon buddies for dinner. But it was just, she's like, let's just have, do you want something good? I'm like, yeah. She's like, how about this? I'm like, it's a weird combination, but it worked and it was tasty.
And that's what's funny is on a low sodium show, and you're talking about, all of the things that nobody low sodium can have.
Yeah.
See all these people, I can't see any of this on my phone, all these comments on here.
Oh.
Here we are. So.
And if you drag that down, you can see all those comments.
I'm learning.
That's why we gave you the power of the mouse.
I have the power of the mouse.
Yeah.
Not that the radio can see any of that.
No.
But, so stovetop stuffing is a comfort food. You had to go and bring that up. I think it was the second year after my liver failed that, and it's on my Turkey Day menu, which I still have to post on my website. And everybody will have to forgive me because I've been working a mad, crazy amount of hours at my store, so I haven't had time to update my website recipes. But I created a stuffing recipe. And the reason why stuffing is so hard to do low sodium is because every component of it is high salt. So the bread is typically high sodium. So you got to get a low sodium bread. Mm-hmm. I found a bread at Jewel that's low sodium, and they will cut it up stuffing size for me. They don't readily carry it, so sometimes I have to order it. So if you can't find a low sodium bread, you got to make your own bread, which again is not that hard. It's pretty easy to do, and when you get a routine and you plan things, it it's very easy to incorporate. As you met Kim Nordine, who was on here,
her bread was freaking awesome.
She just did a couple videos that I shared in my groups about making homemade bread and stuff too. But you can make bread very easily as long as you just incorporate the steps into your day, because you can do one little bit and let it rest, and then do another little bit, and so you can. But to make stuffing, there's a lot of bits to it. You don't think about it because most of us relate that comfort food with a bag of stovetop, where you dump it out of a bag and you add the flavor packet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
That's all you do. Well, the water.
Right. Yeah. So my stuffing was that low sodium bread, homemade Italian sausage. And then once the sausage is cooked, I saute carrots and onions and celery with that. Once it's cooled, that and all of its drippings and goodness with freeze-dried Italian seasoning. I prefer the Lighthouse brand stuff. It's absolutely fantastic. And it's almost exactly the same stuff that's in stovetop. But you mix all that together and it makes a stuffing. When you're making a Thanksgiving dinner and you have all of these other things, that's a lot to have to plan.
I mean, that's an event. That the way you're describing that's
right.
I mean, you might as well just make stuffing the main course,
right?
Which wouldn't be bad. I mean,
right.
I'd be okay with that. I freaking love stuffing, and I threw you that curveball. I'm sorry, but I'm actually rather impressed that you actually, under biscuits and gravy, you talk about how you make your own freaking sausage.
It's super easy recipe, and I'll post it that is one that I will post this afternoon.
And I know, that's not links that most people would go to. They just go grab the Jimmy Dean's,
right?
And
but that's loaded with so much salt, and then you can't have it.
Yeah,
I mean, you're allowed one sausage patty, and even that is hundreds of milligrams. It's just too much. And me personally, I'm not going to eat one sausage patty. I'm not going to eat one piece of bacon. I'm going to eat half a pound of bacon. My husband's going to eat the other half a pound of bacon.
Which is how my wife and I yesterday.
Right. Like, that's just how it's supposed to be.
Well, to be fair, I think I ate 3/4 of a pound of bacon.
It's probably about the same with me and my husband. He probably had 3/4 and I had a 3/4. But my homemade breakfast sausage, it's a copycat Jimmy Dean sage sausage, because that is my favorite. If I was going to buy processed sausage, that is my favorite sausage. 1 pound ground pork and 1/4 teaspoon each of black pepper, garlic powder, parsley, sage, coriander, oregano, thyme, and then me personally, I add 2 fresh garlic cloves grated, or minced finely. And then I add whatever I have, either cayenne pepper or chipotle pepper.
Ooh.
You can add red pepper flakes too. I just like the little spice that it adds.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
But that's it. You mix all the crap together, and whether you're making patties or links or just little nuggets of whatever to grind up and put in biscuits and gravy.
Mm-hmm.
So to make biscuits and gravy, that's super easy.
Do you also put bacon in your biscuit gravy?
I don't, only because it's a textural thing for me, because I don't like the hard chunks of bacon. So I will use bacon grease, because anytime I make bacon, I save the bacon grease, because what people in the low sodium world a lot of times don't realize is the fat is low sodium.
Yeah.
It's the meat that is high in sodium. So, and you eat your one lonely little bacon grease or bacon piece, you can cook, like the fish that I made yesterday, I seared in bacon grease. Because it's low sodium, but it added a huge amount of flavor to my fish.
It would.
Yeah.
That would probably make it taste. Oh, that would probably make it not taste fishy.
Well, cod is not a super fishy fish. So, other ones, I'm trying to think, is kind of like a salmon. Fishes like that. That's what a lot of people don't like about it, is the fish is fishy. But my husband and I have slowly discovered that we don't mind fish. My husband says, I'm surprised I don't hate it as much as I thought I would.
Well, that's good, because I'm not a big fish person myself. I just am not.
See, growing up, I mean, I know it was probably fish that's the reason that I'm half dead and have a dead liver, is because, I grew up on McCollum Lake, and I ate the fish out of it, swam in that lake, and and probably dying of all the poisons that were fluctuating in that lake over the course of time. But growing up, every time I had fish, it was, caught, scaled, filleted, and cooked. And there's a big difference between fresh caught fish and processed fish. Just across the board, there's always, it's the same with meat. You get meat from a butcher or from a farm. Same with dairy products. You get farm fresh eggs, you get farm fresh milk. There's a huge difference. And that's why to this day, I prefer whole milk. A, because my mom always drank it. And B, every single weekend with my neighbor, Virginia, I would go up to King's Farm over on McCollum Lake Road and get fresh milk. And we'd make bread.
That's probably because we would do the same thing growing up. We would go get it from a dairy.
Yep.
Because I guess it was cheaper. I don't know.
Very much so.
But my mom liked the flavor, so that's just what we had.
Right.
And now I'm the only one in the house who likes and prefers whole milk.
Right.
Because but now I will say over the last few weeks, I've gotten used to, or been using 2%, which I've been living with because that's what's been in the friggin' store when we went. Who's buying all the damn whole milk, by the way? Thank you very much.
Anybody that can get their hands on it.
I mean,
and
come on. Leave me at least
so
half a
Ben
gallon.
and I were talking about this morning. I said, I get, hoarding things that will keep, because the zombie apocalypse is coming. So, you need 7,000 pounds of rice and whatever. And he says, how come people aren't hoarding potatoes? Because I have a big batch of garlic mashed potatoes in the fridge. And I said, I'm going to try and get eggs today if I can find them. And all these people hoarding eggs.
Yeah,
what the hell are you
going to do with them?
Yeah. I mean, you can't freeze
so long.
Right.
Unless you freeze your cake. But I've never had great cake once it's been defrosted.
I've never had leftover cake, so I don't know how it freezes. I've never had any leftover to have to freeze.
I can remember a time or two when I've been like, because my grandma would make cakes and then put them in my mom's mom. She would make cake and then she would put it in the deep freeze out in the garage. And then when we would come, she would pull it out. Oh, I've got a cake in the freezer.
Right.
And, and then you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Thanks, Grandma.
Yeah, no.
It's still kind of cakey, but it wasn't, because she would just sit it on the counter to thaw. So later that night, you would have this cake that cold bit in the middle.
Yeah, the frozen chunk.
Yeah.
Kind of like freezing bread.
Yeah, it just was like,
no.
Okay.
That doesn't sound
great. Now, I did like her carrot cake.
So, about this discussion of freezing cake. Growing up as a kid, Michigan to visit my mom's side of the family. My great-grandfather lived on the acreage past my grandma's house. So we could walk across my grandma's 40 acres to across their neighbor's 40 acres and then on to my great-grandfather's. And at one point in time, my entire family, they owned most of that land and pretty much still do. But we could walk over to my great-grandfather's house. And it was a stone cottage with a dirt floor and an outhouse. He saw no reason to change. And it wasn't until I was a young girl that my uncle, who I think was technically but we just called him uncle, had redone this house to give him indoor plumbing because, he was an old man and deserved a toilet and floors and electricity. But to me, it was normal. Awesome. But every single time we went over there, and he was so proud of the fact that he had a freezer. And every time we went there, we would have old school vanilla bean ice cream. With it was a good 2 minutes of him scraping freezer burn off of it to get to the ice cream. And I just thought that was normal. So even now, if I have freezer burn in my ice cream and my husband looks at me like, you're going to eat that? It's just water. It's just frozen water. It's just frozen water.
That's it. See, and like that, I'm with you on that because ice cream.
You're not waste ice cream.
No, and that was how we got it from, again, Grandma's freezer.
Right.
But she would buy stuff knowing that we weren't probably coming.
But see, twice a year.
Well, we went there quite often because it wasn't that. It was like a 4-hour drive.
Yeah.
So we went there probably a good 4 or 5 times a year because my parents would just go for a weekend. and then come back because gas wasn't insane back in those days on prices and such, even though, drove a big old car with a big V8
Sure.
in it. But
Yeah,
that
one of those
wasn't
big
going to
conversion
break
vans.
you. And come to find out, after talking with my mom, it's like we were so because we couldn't afford the other O and the R in the word. It was free food weekend. If we went for a weekend to my grandma and grandpa's house.
Sure.
And she's like, sometimes we just didn't have enough in the house to feed everybody. So we would go there and it was free food weekend and we come back.
Sure.
And then,
it's just funny because depending on what you grow up on. And Stephanie says that her mom used to make matzah, scrambled eggs, and syrup. She would make it all in one pan together, so that would be her comfort food. And that sounds fantastic to me.
Matzah, like cheese?
No, matzah, like matzah balls, I'm guessing. Like Jewish matzah balls?
I don't know what
which
that
is like
is.
A dumpling.
Oh, okay. So like a dumpling with scrambled eggs, and then you put syrup on it.
So almost like it sounds like a Jewish version of pancakes and eggs.
Almost, yeah, doesn't it? Because I don't get
It's just
upset.
a doughy thing, and
I don't get upset when syrup gets on my eggs if I have pancakes with them.
No. Well, I have quite a few friends of mine who have to keep their food separated.
I can understand that.
And I like them. I'm a mixer.
There are some things that absolutely must stay separated for me. I have to separate, and I only know one other dude who does this. I cannot eat M&Ms straight out of the bag. They have to be separated.
Okay, so that's OCD. It's a clinical term.
Yeah, well, whatevs.
My husband has the same.
You cannot
with M&Ms. But
you cannot eat the different colored M&Ms in the same handful. It just doesn't work.
That's funny.
That's a law in my brain.
That's fun. Matzah bread. Oh, okay, like matzah crackers.
So
Gotcha.
That with eggs and that sounds. Now I kind of want pancakes and eggs.
I know, right? I bought bacon because it was on sale, and again, it's funny when you're shopping normally in these times, and you buy 2 pounds of bacon because it's on sale, and the lady next to you looks at you like, "Hey, you're not going to buy the low sodium crap, so back off." Because I can guarantee you're not looking at the same package I am. Yeah. You're going to buy one of the other 20 packs that are still sitting here that aren't low sodium. Or my friend who's a foster mom, I couldn't even imagine. Like she shops by the flatbed.
Yeah, people must be looking at her thinking, "Oh, you're one of those crazy hoarders." No, I've got 12 people that live in my dang house, and every single one of them have to eat something.
Right, and I get it. But so we talk about. And I've talked about this before, and it's been hugely debated in our low sodium groups about a salted palate. And once my palate adjusted, I could taste food. I could legitimately taste the difference between white potatoes and yellow potatoes and russets and fingerlings and all of these different potatoes, squashes, garlics, herbs, spices, all things that I could actually know the difference of. And people have always argued, the ones that say that that's not possible argue we're nuts and it's never going to happen. And then there's the ones that argue that they're on my side and they say the same thing. What it seems to me that I've discovered is people who are on my side, they did the same thing as I did, where they eliminated salt completely, or they eliminated sugar completely, or they eliminated whatever it is that they did. They made a complete, almost like fasting for a blood test. They eliminated it. They made a significant change to see where it was and to get your baseline and then build back up. Because not everybody, it's not that salt or sodium is bad. You need sodium to live. You need potassium to live. You need, magnesium and iron and calcium and all these things, but you can also end up with calcium deposits and kidney stones and gallstones and gout and all of these things. So even though you need the things to live and survive, there's still, like, pickle juice is really good for you. It really is. And there's a lot of doctors who will tell you to have a tablespoon or 2 of pickle juice because of the vinegar. But it doesn't mean you should be drinking an entire jar of pickle juice every day.
No. That would be so nasty.
But, foods are like addictions. And I've had a lot of people deny that and tell me otherwise. And I'm sorry, I'm going to hold my ground and stand as high as I can on my soapbox because you are wrong. All food is inherently addiction. It's instinct to need food, want food, and crave food. And if we were still primitive, we would probably crave the right things.
Probably.
But we're not.
No.
And that's why sugar is a big addiction, because it's an energy source. So if food is few and far between and you find, something like sweet honey, and your body craves more and more and more because it's a fantastic energy source. But it's meant to be a bit.
Just a bit.
And then you move on and you have a varied diet. So when people tell me that either addiction isn't real or food is not addiction, you're going to lose that fight with me. I don't battle on a whole lot of things, but that's definitely one thing that I will battle on is food with an addiction. Because as you share with me, I had to give up salt. You had to give up sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have to give something up, you know where it's at.
Oh, yeah. You do. You look, and then you just, for a while, your body is like, wait a minute, where the hell is my sugar fix? What the heck are you doing to me here? And it takes a while to get past it. And even now, I'm almost thankful for all the stupid dietary things I've had to go through over the past several years, probably over the past decade. My body has just been so weird with different kinds of things and foods. I had to drop bleached flour for a while. That had to come off. Anything high fructose, any artificial sweeteners had to come completely off for like a full year. It was crazy weird. And then, I had to do nothing but my body's just been so bizarre for about the past 10 years. And now finally I'm at a point where, I'm fat, but I'm happy and stuff doesn't seem to be bothering me like it used to.
It's funny because, so like when people have to make this huge lifestyle change and, no salt, no sugar, no fat, no whatever. And even when it makes us feel like crap, we continue. This justifiable license to, I cut down on salt. I don't use a salt shaker anymore, but you still have all the added salt. Or I stopped drinking soda so I can still have cake and ice cream every day. And you give yourself this justifiable license. When you completely change your entire palate or you change your entire lifestyle and you make an effort to actually set yourself up for success and do those things and do a complete overhaul and essentially a fast on life, you can add things back in and you can learn really, really quickly. So I discovered when I get headaches, more often than not, it's potassium for me. Not everybody, it's me. So if I eat a banana, which I despise, we've discussed this, I hate freaking bananas, and I will shove one down my stupid throat and just eat it and suffer it and get over it, and my headache within minutes is gone. And because I'm so sensitive to my sodium levels, if my sodium levels drop too low or my magnesium levels drop too low, I get horrific muscle cramps. With my newfound spine and nerve damage, it is a whole other fresh hell. But same thing. So by changing my entire lifestyle and my entire palate, you don't realize how shitty you feel all the time until you alter your entire diet. And sadly, most people don't. And I'm not saying that I had the willpower to do it. I was forced into it, and it was important to me. But I feel it now. I feel it more than ever. Anytime I get the slightest little fluctuation, it's amazing how much those things can affect your body.
Oh, it is. It's bizarre.
Right. Well, you think of an alcoholic. They don't cut back. They don't cut down a little bit on alcohol. They quit. And if they can add it back in, it's because they weren't an addict. Do I have? I just completely lost you. Oh no! Does everybody not hear me anymore? Oh, I think we went silent. Oh, does that have to be on?
Yeah. There we go. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Now we got to go find out if you can hear me. We had a microphone issue, so bear with us. Bear with us.
We're good.
Okay, now we're good. But yeah, so like alcoholics, they don't just cut back, they quit. And it's the same with anything else. So everyone says, oh, well, you know, I can't do what you did. Then I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. I've said it a million times before. It's not easy. But so if your child was told that if they changed their lifestyle, if your kid couldn't have salt or sugar, whatever it is, if they couldn't have that, you would force them. As a parent, you would say, okay, I love you. This is great. I'm sorry this sucks, but you can't have Cheetos anymore. But when it's yourself, you're like, I can have a couple Cheetos. I can have a bag or 2 or 3
or 7.
Right.
Or I could put Cheetos in my chili.
Right. So when it's your own well-being, you find this justifiable license. Cheetos on a sandwich, by the way, on a fried bologna sandwich.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I had forgotten about that.
Yes. Chips on a sandwich or a fried bologna sandwich with a nice cold slice of
I
cheese.
had forgotten about that.
But that's where, you know.
I'm going to try that.
So I couldn't help but sit as I was writing this and how it relates to the world, because I'm sitting here talking about how when it's you find this reasoning to say that it's not that big of a deal, or it's just a little bit, or you find this justifiable license to have a little bit of sugar, a little bit of salt, a little bit of ice cream. And I know that, yes, it sounds awfully hypocritical coming from the girl who had a bowl of ice cream with Thin Mints in it last night. But anybody that knows me well enough knows that for the first 3 years of my diagnosis, I wholeheartedly lived that lifestyle, and I know where I can fluctuate, and I feel it. I really do. But you have to go through that fast to know where it's worth it.
Yeah, you absolutely do. Because I know even now meat. Man, I am a red meat eater. And it was so easy for me to go hardcore no carbs for a flat out 6 months last year. And I dropped a lot of weight. And I've pretty much gained a big chunk of it back. But, you know, when I did that and went hardcore red meat, I mean, I didn't go just no carbs. I went red meat.
Right.
And my deviation from red meat was bacon. Yep. And that was about it. And I discovered the gouts. They really suck.
It's painful.
Yeah, it sucks. So now I have to be very careful how much actual red meat I consume on, you know, a daily or weekly basis. I know if I had something on Monday, a little bit of red meat, you know what, I'm gonna have to wait till Wednesday or Thursday to have another bit of red, and I can't go full on, you know. Yeah, you know.
But that's what's so funny to me is when so many people tell me that, you know, well, I quit drinking because, you know, they got like, so I quit drinking. You can't possibly ask me to quit smoking. Or when I talk to people about tracking their food, so many people, how can you help me? Can you help me? Can you help me? Can you help me? Can you help me with my diet? Sure, track your food for 2 weeks. Oh, that sounds like a lot of work. I can't do that. No. But you know what? Then screw you. I don't know what to tell you. I couldn't help but sit here and think, you know, if I told you that your kid would be cured from cancer forever, for life, if you kept them in your house for 30 days. So even if your kid doesn't have cancer, if you said, I guarantee you that no matter what they do, they will never have a disease the rest of their life, you get a pass. As a parent, at least if you're a good one, you're going to keep your freaking kid in your house.
Probably.
Or if it was something like me where you say you can't have salt. You as an adult, as a person, you're going to find the reasons here and there and say, oh, well, I can cheat here, I can cheat there, and I had a bad day, so I'm going to drive through Wendy's.
And we're coming up on about 30 seconds left.
So when it comes to somebody else's well-being, you put a significance on it. Put a significance on your own health and your own happiness. Take the time that you have now to set a plan, track your food, track what you do, set a schedule, and keep to it. And if I can help, I can help. And whatever I've got, you've got it on my website, you've got it on my show. We're here every week. And if you have any suggestions, questions, or anything, just let us know. Shoot us a message.
Awesome. All right. And we'll catch you next week at 11 a.m. on My LoSo Lifestyle with Mary Shep.
Woot woot.
And then here's the mouse back. You can go get rid of the...
And bye, guys. And we're going to end on YouTube. And we go end up here, and we go end.